All right. Good evening and welcome to today's class. I just want to kind of have a little bit of review on what we were doing last time. We were talking about the protocol that enables for the internet layer. As invariably saying that there are protocols that function in the internet layer, but there are also other protocols that are not in this internet layer that help the effort of the layers that of the protocols that function in the internet layer. They help their efforts. Something like the DSCP helps the effort to help us to automatically get IP addressing, which is a protocol that is handled within the internet layer. So today we want to still on the matters of layers of the TCP/IP. We are discussing them because we are interested in their protocols, not majorly on the layers, but the layers help us to discuss what happens, what these protocols do in these layers. So when we take layers by layers, we treat the protocols and then we keep on going on. So as we have done the network layer, we have done the internet layer, we have done something regarding the enablers, protocols to help the efforts of things that go on in the internet layer. So today we want to do the remaining two layers, which are the transport layer and the application layer. So we'll be moving forward. So I just want to talk about something that is very important, even though I know I've mentioned it before, which are port numbers, but I still want to iterate that this is where the whole idea of to be able to know how devices keep track of communication. How do they know that I and Adamna is chatting and then I and Peace is chatting? So how can they be able to differentiate this and I as Stephanie is chatting? How can they be able to differentiate this communication even though I am using one application? So it is the concept of these two layers that makes those things possible, and that will form the major part of our discourse today. So if you can see the diagram, it kind of depicts for us what we have gone through within the past few days or within the past few weeks. All right. So because we started this thing last week, I guess so. Then you have seen the network access layer. You have seen the internet layer. We deal on the IP as the major layer, IPv4 and IPv6. Now we are in the transport layer. And the major protocol that function in the transport layer is the TCP and the UDP. So transport, as the name is the one that enables us to get our communication across, and then not just get our communication across, as well keep track of this communication that is happening per time. So that's the transport layer, what it does. And there are two major protocols, as I said. Then the application layer, which is also part of our discourse today, is majorly to help the end user. So it helps the end user. This is where you receive the services that you actually requested for. So if you request for any information, it is in the application layer, and that is the closest layer to the user, and we often interact with it. This is where we have HTTP protocol when we try to request information from the web. This is where we have SMTP when we try to request information from the mail server. Then DNS when we talk about the domain name system. That's the one that we are trying to show in the last class. So invariably, I just want you to understand this diagram and get how it flows. If Stephanie wants to communicate something to me now, she simply have to start with any application. Let's just say that I happen to use or want Stephanie to communicate to me through mail. So invariably, she might be using Microsoft Mail or might be using Google Mail, that's the Gmail. Then she will send something. Once she starts sending something, This protocol takes it up from the application protocol that is in charge of mail. That's a small, simple mail transfer protocol, which works when it comes to mail because that's the services she's using. Then it goes down. The TCP takes it from there when it gets to the transport layer, gets to the IP, then the IP protocol, which kind of does its own thing to uniquely identify me on the network, then sends it to the network access layer, right? So from there, what happens? It starts going from my end, IP takes it to my TCP, and the TCP takes it to the SMTP, and this is the only way I will now be able to view whatever that she's sending me through mail. So this is how it goes. So if you are the one sending, it has to go through the whole process of getting to the list layer. And from the list layer, I take it up. My own device takes it up. And then it gets to the what? It gets to the final application where I can be able to view the mail that Stephanie is trying to send to me. Are you all with me on this? If you are with me, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can somebody raise up their hand? This is the kind of diagram to depict what we are trying to say. All right, Rostiat, I can, you can,
Good evening. Please, can you please explain it again? I don't really get what you're saying, please.
all right, I was trying to say something about the how information flow from these protocols, how they handle this information. Let's assume Rofia wants to send me a mail. She'll almost use her application. So at the application is a mail that she wants to send. She's not browsing anything. She's not requesting for anything. She's not requesting for any web. If it's web, what would take it up would be the HTTP. That's the protocol in charge of things regarding the web resources. So if it's mail, this is more mail transfer protocol. If it's something that has to do with researching about maybe trying to get DNS, sometimes even these three things have to work together depending. Because if you are trying to browse in a website, of course, that website will be utilizing what we call domain name system because it has to convert that domain name you are entering into an IP address. So invariably, you almost see that sometimes this protocol have to work together, but invariably, just see the flow of an instance of her trying to send me mail. She has logged into her Gmail. So when she just click send, within the application layer, we have the protocol SMTP, which is in charge of mail. It will take down the information. The transport TCP will continue. That's the layer of the transport. The protocols will work on that message is trying to send. Then they will do their job. TCP will take information from the application layer. That's the transport. That's the protocols will take information from the application protocols that are functioning here. So they will take the information and they will now be what? Bring it down to the IP. The IP is the one that gives us a unique address. So it already knows who we are trying to send this information to. So the IP takes it all from here and then be able to send it directly to the person. So when it gets to us through wave or through wire connection, depending on how we are connected, the medium through which we are connected on the network access there. As I said, you can connect through wired and you can connect through wireless. So when it gets to my device, it has to go through the process of getting to the network access, then take it up to the IP, take it up to the TCP, then take it up to the SMTP, then for me to be able to see it, because I can't see the things that are going on the hood. This is the things that are going on the hood. These networks are working hand in hand from the point of something trying to get sent to me. You said?
No, don't worry. It's my data that is done.
So from the standpoint of getting here to the point of getting here, these protocols are all involved from the point of Stephanie trying to send something to me to the point of me receiving it. So this is how the flow goes. This is called top down, bottom up. So if they are sending, it goes this way to this way. Okay, Rafia, what's the problem?
Sorry. No, Thank you very much. So when we are sending information from one client to the other, so it starts with the application layer, right?
Yes.
Then it will also ends in application layer at the other at the client side or at the receiver side.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's what I just want to get. Thank you very much.
All right. So, is there any other problem? If not, can I get a thumbs up? If there are any concerns, anybody can still raise up your hand. All right. Thank you very much. So let's proceed. Okay. Can we now explain these two major protocols that function in the transport layer? We want to explain. These are two protocols: the TCP and the UDP. The only difference between these protocols, since I already told you the transport layer is in charge of uh, maintaining connection or communication, keeping it connected over the period of time. So whereby one message reaches to the other client is because of what? Is because of the transport layer. So it takes up from the point of addressing and ensures our message gets to the person that is supposed to get it. So the TCP UDP protocols are the protocol that is functioning on this layer. What then is the difference between these protocols? UDP is a kind of protocol that doesn't give you back feedback if your information is received by the recipient. It doesn't give you any information. The whole advantage of UDP is to easily send something across in a faster way and then doesn't give you any feedback whether the information was received from the person you are trying to send the information to, and also doesn't return the information. Many instances of UDP in use is because of real-time communication happen. It is because of real-time communication that UDP is used over TCP. Just imagine if the way I'm communicating to you all now, and I happen to get a network glitch, the possibility of you, everything that I said, you starting to hear them, that means you are backwards and saying something recent, and you are hearing something backwards, like the things I've already said before. It will make communication what? It will make communication unbearable. So UDP, anything I miss out saying at this point, or due to your network, you can't get it any longer. That is because UDP is the protocol that is functioning. So UDP own interest is to make real-time communications happen faster. It doesn't get anything that has to do with reliability. That means if message is lost on the standpoint of finding that information, it doesn't have any way to get back that information. Just imagine all the voices and all the things I've been saying. If most of them have been lost out due to your network issue, that is to say, if you are using TCP, those voices will have to come back to you. And then you are not even in the real time. That means you start getting conflictions of voices because you are trying to receive messages I've sent before. And also the one that I'm currently sending is also what coming through. So you will be more confused. So UDP is functioning on a time effort delivery. So its own intent is to deliver information speedily and sharply to the person. So the application cases that will normally see them happen is video conferencing, voice messages, that's VIOP. So when we are on call, so those kind of things that require real-time communications, and it requires it to be faster. That is where UDP works better. So even if some certain messages are lost, it doesn't disrupt the entire communication process. It doesn't disrupt it. So something can be lost. Maybe your network kindly shift. Some things I'm saying might miss it out, yet it doesn't impact our communication in a way. So it is not usually noticeable. So that's what UDP is used when we are interested in sending information faster without concern about whether this person will receive this information and whether we can be able to resend this information again to the person. On TCP, its own thing is to ensure the reliability of information. So if any message is missed out in transit, TCP will resend those messages to you. So oftentimes when you use your bank app to make transactions, have you noticed why there is something like reversal? Like you sent a money and it didn't go through and you get a reversal. So it's because of the TCP that is what at work. That's the way in which you are receiving the kind of reversals. And it's also because of that TCP that you can be able to track where communication was left off and then can be able to what? Resend it. That's why your bank can be able to do what? Your bank can be able to what? Get back to transaction that has happened because TCP is more of keeping track of this conversation and can have the ability to do what? Resend or retract this what conversation. So when we want things to be acknowledged, when we want the people we are sending messages to tell us they have received these messages and to get acknowledgement, especially when we do transfer, bank transfer, anything that has to do with issuing of receipt or acknowledgement that says, oh, this thing has been received. The same way WhatsApp is, most of you send messages and then you see two good and then green. It's more of telling that this person have received this message. So those kind of things that are not real time and doesn't require immediate or faster means of sending them, TCP is utilized, especially when we want to guarantee that those information are passed through. So, Praise, you can go on.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Okay, what I wanted to ask was for YouTube, like when we are having those other classes we have on Sundays, maybe if the presenter is talking and then you have a network glitch, but maybe after some time you come back, it shows that like it will start from where you stop. Meanwhile, the presenter has gone far. Like if the presenter has gone 3 minutes ahead, it will still be showing you like where you stop, where the network had problem. Is that one UDP or TCP?
All right, let me say something on live streaming. It's already there on my slide, used for streaming purposes. Why you are getting that thing? Why you are getting that thing is because the video is recorded. It is on a different thing. If the video is not recording, I bet you can't go back to that thing again. It's because the video is being recorded. That's why you are getting that kind of information. So when you try to move to get to the live, you will not still get back those things again. You will still be where the speaker is currently. It won't because of you and go back and start repeating those things. Why you are getting that thing is because those messages are recorded. That's why. If nobody is recording it, you can't go back to them again. Once it's being said, it's already said, you have missed out on that. All right, Faithful. Faithful.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sorry, I just because my network was somehow disturbed, I was not hearing you very well. You were making some explanation about TCP, so I wanted you to recap.
All right. The only thing I just wanted you to know, the simplest way for you to know UDP is at work and TCP is at work. UDP own interest is to get the message across speedily in real time to get the message across to the person you want to send it to. So it's not concerned whether some messages will be lost during the transaction. So it's not concerned whether somebody is having network issue or not. The only thing is to get the message, sense it once and forget about it. There is no way it can be able to resend it if in case some messages were lost on transaction. So the same way most of us are live calls now. There is no way you can receive this message. If you log out and log in, you will not get back what I was saying before. It's because we are using UDP. It's because of streaming is an example of UDP. Because the thing we are trying to do is a best effort delivery. Best effort delivery is more of this thing happen real time. You get to get it and know it at the particular point in time. But TCP is not like that. CTP has its own thing of guaranteeing that somebody receive the information. So it will send you a feedback. It will send you something telling you that the person you sent information received so and so and didn't receive so and so. So the means by which that information is passed and then can be resent because some information we are lost on transit is because TCP is involved. And one instance I had to give is most of us that do bank transaction. So for those things to be reversals to happen, for those things to take place, is because of TCP, because it's telling you that this money you are trying to send to this person was not received, and it bounces back to your account. Are you with me? So that is TCP at work. If it's UDP that is used, to be honest, you will not get, once the information is sent, anything that happens, whether the person received it or not, you will not get to know. And at times you will see a what we call, you will see a combination of this UDP and TCP. At each point, you will see a system that utilizes both based on what they are trying to achieve. All right, they might be able to make some part of their services to use UDP and some to use TCP. So there are some critical services that requires acknowledgement. So the way your bank will tell you proceed with the transaction, is it not a feedback? Because they want to be sure, are you the one sending this? Is it this amount you want to send? Are you the one sending? Are you sure? All right. So at times, many of you are, what is it called? What is it called again? Many of you send emails. And that email, if it bounces back, it will tell you that this email was not delivered. What do you think was at work? It will tell you that this email don't exist. Email sent. That thing is an acknowledgement telling you that there is a receipt, there is something that ensures that this email gets back. If you have sent a bounced email before, you will know that your email will get back telling you that they couldn't find this particular URL. So that is how TCP works. Did I answer your question, Faithful, or you have some other concerns?
Yes, you answer my question perfectly. I don't know. I think I was hearing you that you're saying example of it is when we talk about tracking. Tracking is it part of TCP? I
What
don't know.
track? What do you say tracking?
Yeah, I don't know if I edit right.
No, I didn't mention anything on tracking. Did I mention
Okay.
anything on tracking? I didn't mention anything on tracking.
Okay,
Unless you
sorry.
are talking about transaction, trying to rectify transaction that was made, but it didn't get to the actual person. So you can rectify it and reverse the transaction. That's because TCP have a kind of loop that keeps us informed about what happened during the course of a transaction.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
All right, so thank you. Can we move forward if that's so? Can I get a thumbs up? All right. All right. I'm seeing you all. Okay, so let's move forward. All right, so I want to talk about an important topic, an important not topic per se, an important thing within this TCP and UDP of a thing. Who is raising up their hands? Faithful.
Yes, sir. I'm doing raising up my hand. I want to get it right. I don't know if I'll be able, if as in, I don't know in terms of when I said something about tracking. So I was like thinking about it. When tracking someone, I don't know, is it what is being used? Is it TCP or UDP?
As, as I already said, what is it called? How they used to say this? The thing is this. All right. UDP, TCP can be used. UDP, TCP can be used. There is no fast and hard route towards it. You can't be able to say, okay, this particular system is using UDP or is using TCP. Sometimes you might even think that it's using TCP and is using, but the very thing that you have to just know is this. When you are tracking somebody, all right, when you are tracking someone, right? When you are tracking somebody, depending on the kind of tracking you are saying, maybe you are trying to get somebody that either made away with your phone, right? Made away with your phone. I don't know which kind of tracking, please. So I
Yes,
will not.
something like that. Made away with your phone or trying to locate the person, actual destination and all that.
All right. So you get a feedback, right? You get an acknowledgement about what you are doing. That's just what I want you to answer yourself. You don't want to say anything.
Sorry, I never knew my phone was on this thing. I said in terms of location, you will get the feedback, but in terms of tracking a phone, I don't really know that aspect.
All right. Okay. So the thing I'm saying is this. I just want you to know, like, the thing about what application, because why I'm saying this is that oftentimes when you are trying to look at a tracking device, eh, you might not be able to know when we'll be doing when you guys should be entering your main practical. I think that should be in the next 3 weeks. I think I have 1 more week to handle you all. So when you be entering that, you will not know how to be able to uh, uh, look through a message and know which protocol they are utilizing, whether it's UDP or TCP. So you will be able to look whether it's UDP or TCP. So invariably, when you are tracking somebody and they are able to get their location and a feedback is sent to you, this person is here, this person is here, right? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Doreen.
Sorry for the interruption. Yeah, sorry for the interruption, but I didn't get you the communication you were passing on. Kindly
Yes.
pardon.
Hello, I don't know. What do you say? What's the issue?
Like I heard as though you were communicating something, but I didn't get clearly. I think because of my network.
So which of the
So
topics
I
was
don't know
that?
if you're okay to go over.
Which of the topic is that? We are just still starting. We are still on the surface.
Okay.
Huh? Were you here when we did TCP, UDP?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I'm just trying to answer some of their questions. So as our first was saying with regards to tracking, I'm not saying that when you receive back information is what is called acknowledgement. Of course, if you send something to somebody and that thing gets to them, they will send you back an information. That is prime, whether you are using UDP or TCP. Whether you are using UDP or TCP, they will send you back an information. If the way we are trying to, what is it called? I said something here and somebody said something else. I will hear that thing because we are using UDP. It doesn't mean that that's an acknowledgement. I just want you to get that. That doesn't mean that's an acknowledgement. The acknowledgement I am kind of saying is the one that the exact information that you are trying to pass through, the thing that happens to that particular information is the thing that I'm talking about. So if that information was delivered, as I already said, with the use of email, if you send an information, even though the person have not replied your email, that email was able to tell you that this message have been delivered to this person. That is what I'm trying to say when it comes to TCP. The ability to keep up with a particular message and get acknowledgement pertaining to that message. Then when we talk about UDP, UDP is all about just sending message. You don't get information of what happens to that particular message. So whether in a tracking system, both a UDP and a TCP can be used. It doesn't matter because still the prime purpose of sending information is to get a feedback. But acknowledgement is different from a feedback. So me replying your email is not an acknowledgement. It is a what? It is a response back. It's not an acknowledgement. But me sending that email and my email telling me that this person have received this email, you sending a WhatsApp message and the thing trying to give a good mark, a check mark, is an acknowledgement to you because that message is being known to you that that message has been sent. So whether the person chose to reply or not to reply, that's not an acknowledgement. So acknowledgement has to do with the particular message that is in transit, what really happened to it. So, and I've showed you scenarios and all these things. So when you're trying to track a person and you get something like a data saying this person is in this location, that is not an acknowledgement. That is a response back based on the activity you are trying to get. So an acknowledgement is a particular thing that you are doing, that information that is transmitted, the status of that information. The status of that information. That is what I'm saying is an acknowledgement. So I don't know whether that you get that in the light I'm trying to say that. Faithful, are you okay with that?
Okay, sir. I'm okay with that, sir. Thank you.
What is it called? Doreen, I don't know. So that was what I was trying to answer. So invariably, I want to tell you what makes that thing possible. What makes what Faithful to communicate to me, all of us on this call, what makes it possible is not just about these protocols. They utilize what we call port numbers that you can be able to browse a particular website, open multiple tabs on your website, on your web browser. Who is that, please? Open multiple tabs on your web browser, and then those web browsers are not conflicting. They are not sending information that you are not requesting. Each one that you open, each tab that you opened on your web browser, you see the exact information that you requested. So you can choose to open your WhatsApp in another web browser, open another thing, open your Gmail, open Discord. As you can see, if you are seeing my screen, you see there are countless tabs here. And when those tabs, all of them are being kept track of. They are not mixing things. So when I'm trying to request one information from another tab and requesting another information from another page, is not confused. Why is that possible? Is because of these protocols use what we call port numbers. So port numbers helps us to keep track of each conversation. So as simple as the call we are making is a conversation. As simple as the email you are opening, it is already a conversation. As simple as the WhatsApp message you just opened is a conversation. As simple as you trying to chat up Rosalind or chat up Emmanuel is a conversation. So how can it be able to keep track of your message you are sending to Emmanuel and the message you are sending to Doreen and the message you are sending to Ibrahim? How can you be able to keep track of all this conversation, even though it is happening in the same communication? Is because of what? Port numbers. So it's have to keep track of specific conversation. So, and as I said, these port numbers are divided into 3 categories. One of them is well known. So the common application that we are used to have common well-known port numbers, which is 1 to 123. So you count from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 123. These are called well-known because they are common. We often use them, or applications often utilize them, or these protocols often utilize them to keep track of conversations. So that you are able to browse a website, and that website is using a protocol called HTTP, that's Hypertext Transfer Protocol. You often see it in your web URL when you are trying to browse a website. Even though you enter www, it will add that protocol because that's an application layer protocol for web. For web, anything you want to request on the web, that's application. So the common applications utilize these port numbers. And these port numbers are well known because they are often known. Something like you browsing a web, there is what we call port 80. There is what we call port 80. and there's what called port 443. So those things, because of they are well known, because of these services are often requested by people. So there needs to be a port numbers that are brought out and kept for them for their use. So every time we are trying to initiate a conversation with any application online, something like we are trying to get something like a web page online, that port number 80 is always there because 80 is representing the web server that we are trying to contact or the web application service we are trying to contact. So they are there and can't be what changed because they are often requested by what users of what applications. So you don't give them to what's it called? You don't give them to anyhow. You don't give them anyhow because they are just the application that we want to contact on a frequent. Okay, let me just mention some of them. Port numbers that has to do with emails, they are other well known. So because emails are sent, they are constant web application services we request. Their port numbers is under well known. Something like searching through the web is a well-known port number to keep track of that particular conversation. Something like what else do we normally do? What are the constant thing that we do? File service, requesting file, downloading files, all those things that you do, they have a particular port numbers to keep track of those kind of conversations when they do happen. So these are what we call the well-known port number. They are common applications use them. As I said, TCP/IP protocols use these port numbers to keep track of what? To keep track of what? Conversations. Another of them is registered. So when a particular organization goes and say, please give me this port number, I want to use it. So as any person that wants to communicate with an application service I am providing, we will use this port number. This is the port number that will be assigned to me, so as to aid our communication, so as to keep track of our communication. So when organization goes to do that kind of thing, register a particular port number for you to be a service for the application, so that anybody contacting them, that port number will be used as a reference or you use as something to keep track of the conversation that is happening between the person that is trying to contact it and the person that is between the person that is trying to contact it and the organization in question that is providing that particular services. So those kind of port numbers are called registered port number. Private port numbers, you have seen the range. These are often the ones that who are mostly the requesters of services. So most people who request services, these are the ones that we often use. So when we want to kind of enter WhatsApp or something, so within the range of 49152, we are assigned a port number so as to keep track of our conversation. So this is the best way to be able to comprehend this. Well-known port numbers are often assigned to web servers. Well-known port numbers are often assigned to web servers. That's people who give information, people who provide information. Registered is just for people who have decided to, as an organization, to register. So this one is people who went and say, give me a port number out of this 1024, so that my particular application services would be identified and kept track of by any person trying to communicate with me. Then private is the one that is often we that are requesters, clients, because we request information. So we'll have a range of these port numbers. So when we want to request any information from the web, we'll get our port number from here. This private 49152 to 65,535. This is where we'll get our port number. Then the common application we'll be requesting would be here. So if you are requesting something like let me give an instance. If you are requesting something like a web page, so the way that you will be assigned the particular web page you are trying to get, we assign you that is the person seeking for that web page. You will get your source number from here, 49152 to 65. So any of them it can be used. That's because it is private. You are the one requesting. Then person you are requesting from to provide you that information, the port number, if it's a well-known service, like web, will come from here. But if it's from a particular organization that registered, will come from here. Is that clear? Is that clear? If that's clear, can I get a thumbs up? All right, thank you. So what really, okay, I said private port numbers are given to people who often request for information. So it is dynamic, that means it changes. So anytime you want to request for any information, for instance, us that are often requesting for information, you are not providing any information online, you are often requesting information. So as the client, you're often requesting information. So for you to receive anything, you have to have a port number to keep track of the conversation that is happening, so that that conversation, it will not be mistaken for any other thing. So when you are trying to request, due to you are the source port means the person who is trying to send something across. So you are always the port, you are always the source. Source is the person who is trying to send something, who is trying to request something, trying to send something, get something. So you will be assigned. So once you open your email, or once you open your web browser, for instance, and type www.google.com, for that conversation to be kept track of, you will get a port number, which is a private one within this place. So that one we keep track of. Let's just say 49152 is the www.google.com you are accessing. So you're given a port number. Let's just say you have been given a port number 49152. If you also open another tab and enter meet.google.com, is another thing. You also be given another port number to keep track of that exact conversation you want it to happen. If you open www.gmail.com, you will also be given another port number from here, because those are the things that will uniquely identify you, who is seeking out for what information. Then for the person that is receiving, due to if they are common applications, they utilize common application, like the one I said, email is a common application. What is it called? Web is a common application. So they will have already a port number within this range, 1 to 123. So let's assume that you are requesting for a web address, you are requesting for information for a web page to be given to you, and you are given 49152. And the information you are requesting due to a web page is under common application. So web page will often have, if it's HTTP, that means it's not a secured web page. It will have port 80. So that means your source port is 49152. And your destination port, that means the place you are trying to get information or send information across, is what? Is 80. But if you are requesting information from some organization that registers specific port numbers, which are not within the common application services providers. So it's not under email, these common ones, it's not under email, it's not under web. Maybe one kind of organization like Microsoft that has the power to, or has the kind of thing it takes to register a particular port number. So that means they will have the destination address they will have will be within 1024 to 49151. So your port number will mostly come from here, your source port, and it can change depending. It is not static, it can change. So the only thing is just to help us to keep track. So anytime you are initiating any conversation, a port number is assigned to you from here. So, but the person where you are requesting that information, we have any port number from these two, either well known or registered. Is that clear and better now? So, if that's so, can I get a thumbs up? Stephanie, all right.
Okay, sir. I would like to ask.
Yeah.
if more than one person can have the same port number in case of private.
Yes, you can have,
Like for
but you said
okay, I just want to like give you an instance of what I was trying to like say. Let's say I'm browsing on a particular assignment that was given to us in class, and my classmate is also doing the same thing. So are we both going to like have the same port number?
all right.
Or
Okay. Let me explain something. Due to you both are requesting for the same services, the destination port number will be the same. Are you with me? The destination port number will be the same. Both of you are requesting for a web page, a particular web page. So the destination, if it's port 80, it will be port 80. Or if it's under the registered, it will be the same port number. Are you with me on that? Most. But
yes,
your own, it is up to your device to generate within from. So devices automatically generate, but it will be between this range. So it can generate 49152. And the other person will generate 65535, or will generate 4953. But just in case that both of the devices generate the same port numbers, are you with me?
yes.
Port numbers is not the only thing that is needed. That is why we have something like socket pair, which is IP address plus port number. So IP address will not differ you too. So the person that is trying to send information across is using that port number to only keep track of your conversation. But that information getting to you will both utilize both the port number and the IP address. So the port number is just for keeping track of conversation. IP address is the information getting to the particular person that is meant to get it. So both of them are utilized. So you can't use both. So that's why I said all these protocols work together. So the port number is just to keep track of the conversation. Then the IP address is to deliver the conversation to the particular person on the device. Does that answer your question, Stephanie?
Yes. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. So Rafiat.
Sorry, please. I just want to ask that the IP address, is it the IP address of the source, as in the person that is requesting for the information?
Okay. Let me just say this. Everything that you are utilizing, let me just bring back this image. It looks like we are confused. This is what I said. This is something I used to explain something. This is the same thing. You that is a client requesting for information. All these protocols are working in your own. They are also working in the person that you are trying to request information from, which is the server. So all this protocol that is here is working. So you have IP. The person will still have IP because they are on the network. They have to be identified because you are trying to send them something. You have a port number that is within the transport layer. The person will also have a port number. So if you are the person requesting for port information, you have a port number that is private, that is generated by your within the range. And the place you are trying to request for, if it's a registered company, they will have a registered port number. But if it's a well-known port number, they will utilize a well-known port number. That's a common one that everyone that is utilizing. Nobody is registered it. It is open for anybody to utilize because they are the common services that we often request for online. So you are always the source IP and the source port number. Anybody that is sending something or the person that is trying to get something is always the source. Whether you call it source port number or source IP, you are always the source. Source MAC address, you are always the source. The person trying to get something, the person trying to reach out, the person trying to receive, they are always the port number. Why the person that is providing is the destination, is the person you are trying to send to, the person you are trying to send. So, but to them, when you go to them, you are the destination. When they are sending that information, you will not be in their destination because they are trying to send that information to you. You will be their destination and they will be the source providers. Are you getting that?
Okay. Yes, yes.
All right. So are we all on the same page now? Can we move forward?
Let me ask this port number. They are software, right? And who assign port numbers, Bamias?
Who assign port numbers? These are the
Yes, is there any
Yes, there are people who, as I said, there is an organization that manages port numbers, as I said. So the organization that manages port number. So there are some companies that will go and register this port number. You want this thing to be specific. Anybody that wants to communicate to us, let us use this port number to keep track of our own conversations with them. And they went and registered it. So for us that are commoners or common people, that's why they call it common application. You don't have maybe that kind of thing. So you can use within here. If you are the one trying to provide something like you have a website, you want to provide a particular application to people that will come. So you'll be utilizing this if you are mostly a service provider. But if you are the person that requests mostly for information, your system will automatically generate port number within this range, so as to help it to keep track of its own conversation with anything that is trying to converse with online.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. So if we are on the same page, if that's so, we can get a thumbs up. If not, you can express your concern. All right. So I like this method of each slide we do, we ask question and everybody on. I know that it takes time, but it's better off than trying to wait to the end of the lecture for people to start asking questions. So this is what I'm invariably trying to say. These are the well-known port numbers. So if you are trying to request for any file transfer, this is the port number that will be having as the destination. For instance, you want to request this because they are common. They are often the application services we request mostly for. This is for SSH, secure short. For most of us, I'll be connecting through through command line, trying to access a device through command line. You know, your computer can be accessed through command line. So somebody can get access to your system as it is on now. Somebody can get access to it through command line. Just what they need to is to know whether you enabled the things that are required to get access to it. So this is the ports I'm talking about. The well-known ports, these are much of them, as much as you see, and the protocols that utilize them. So oftentimes the 443 has to do with hypertext transfer protocol. Anytime you browse a website, that thing that comes out like a padlock is just trying to tell you that you are using hypertext transfer protocol, and it is using the port number to keep track of those conversation 443. So these are the well-known port numbers of most of the services that you are using. These are the services that you'll be requesting in the application. This is the protocol that will be functioning because they are utilizing this, they are working hand in hand with these application protocols. And then this is the port number that these transport protocols often utilize to keep track of the conversation that are happening. All right, Rafiat. Rafiat.
Yes, please. I just want to ask, what's the difference between FTP data and FTP control?
So FTP data is the one that helps to keep track of data communication. Control is what kind of stands at the point of trying to cover up anything that is happening. Maybe if there is error, if there is concerns, if there is kind of overlap, it will give us information. So when we talk about 2 ports opening up, 20 and 21, we talk about one is kind of controlling the flow of information, and the other port is guiding the data only for data. So most times when you open the what is it called, FTP, it will open these 2 ports. It is using one of the ports to control the flow of data to ensure that no error transmission. Then the other one is the exact one that is used for is just clear path for the for the transfer of data. So it will open the 2 ports.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So is there any other thing that is there? I think Telnet is the same thing. Is a secured Telnet is the insecure version of SSH. So these are just the common ports that this TCP transport protocols or UDP or TCP use them to keep track of conversations that are happening in the application layer. So when I say all these protocols work hand in hand, you already know what I'm saying is that all of them have to work together to achieve an aim. So why the application, you are using these applications, these protocols are working at the background because they are the protocols that work hand in hand with this application. Each application utilizes either UDP or TCP transport protocols. So then these things is not just enough. They have to use what we call port numbers to keep track of all the conversation. Every person on the network is trying to do what? Is trying to get across to this application. So it uses port numbers and then moves down messages and ensures that they get delivered or they get moved to the person that is requesting for it without conflicting two conversations together. So Rofiat, you can ask your question.
Sorry, I didn't bring my hands down since that I raised it.
All right, no problem. Are we on the same page? Can we move forward? If that's so, you can give me a thumbs up. Okay, Stephanie.
Yes, so I don't know if you can like explain the various functions of these protocols that
You said?
listed. I don't know if
You
you
said
can like
what?
explain the various functions. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I said I can explain various functions, like what these protocols serve, like a purpose. So at least we can like relate with them when next we see them somewhere, or like IMAP, POP3, and the likes.
Okay. Yeah, I have them on my slide. I will explain them. We are still getting there. I will explain them when we get to this application protocol. You know, they are not transport protocol. I will explain them when I get to the application. We are still in the transport and how they utilize the port numbers in order to keep track of conversation. So when we get to the application protocols, which is under the application layer, I'm going to explain all of them.
All right, so thank you.
Okay, Rufiat, what's the issue?
Yes, I just want to ask a question.
Yeah.
I want to browse a website now.
Yes.
So DNS, we have its own port number. The HTTP
Yes,
too, we
DNS
have
has
its
its
own
own
port
port.
number.
Yes. They will keep track of that conversation.
Okay.
So they will have
So
their
that
port numbers.
conversation, we have like two port numbers. You have the DNS port number and then the HTTP port number.
Yes, a lot of port numbers can open at the same time because when you are trying to browse a website, you are trying to get the IP address, which DNS should be open. And then,
yes,
what is it called? HTTP or HTTPS, depending whether it's a secured or inside, we also open up. And so many other things.
Yes.
Like even if you are trying to download file online, FTP might likely what open up. So all of them will open up. They work on as much as that's why as we are on this call, a lot of port numbers are open because we are doing multiple things. We have port numbers for VIOP, this thing that we are doing and talking. We have so many port numbers that are open. Aside from these are just the common ones that I listed. There are other ones that are opened up to help us to keep track or to help us to better our communication or data transfer. So a lot of port numbers can be opened up at the same time. Are you with me on that?
Yes, yes, I'm with you.
When you chat on WhatsApp, how do you think all your contacts that your messages you are sending to this person is not mistaken to? Even though you are on WhatsApp, many port numbers you open, even though it's WhatsApp you are using, many port numbers have to open to keep track of each individual conversation so that it will not mistake them. That's the exact thing I'm just talking about. So many more multiple port numbers can be open. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I said something about I said something about socket pair. Socket pair is more like when port numbers is matched with the IP address. So if it's a source, a IP address that is a source, when we put it alongside a port number, then we call it a socket pair. So let's assume that you are 192.160.101 and the services that is being, let's assume this is a web server and the port number given to that web server is 80. a socket pair. As I said, you don't just need IP address. You will still need a port number, and that is obtainable when we go to the transport layer, and with UDP or TCP will enable you to have a port number to keep track of conversations. So that will be only one that will ensure that this thing gets to the actual service that is being requested for. So when we pair it like this, the IP address, semicolon, and the port number, it is called socket pair. So that's on that. I say, let me say that because I'm opening up an image now that I will need to explain. All right, this is invariably what I'm trying to say. We took it handy when we are trying to, so we started with MAC address, which is the physical address on your network layer. It will have the source, you who is sending, and the destination, who you are sending to. Then we will have the source IP, which is the internet layer protocol addressing. You have the destination, who you are also sending to. So aside from that, in your message, we will have what we call the word source port and destination port. And this is helping us to keep track of what conversation. So these are the things that you will need, or the network you will not need, because you don't even know what is happening. But your device will be able to do what? Your device will be able to what? Who's on your device that is sending, get out the address that is given to you because you are connecting on the network, which is the source and destination. Also get out the port numbers to keep track of the individual what communication, and then that is it. Then the actual data that you are sending, which is the user data. So this is how what is it called, labeling actual messages are being what are being packaged in order to be sent within a what network. So when you are sending these things, this source and destination port, we have to keep track of the conversation that is happening between you and the person that is within the source and destination IP. You have to keep track of each of the conversation, because you can actually have multiple conversations with one person. That's why, because IP address is one person, is unique. So the sense whereby you want to have multiple conversations with somebody, the thing that make it possible is this source and destination. So it will generate different source IP, but the destination might be the same. Maybe you are trying to request one particular thing from the same port number, but you are using different tabs. So you will see your source port will change. It will generate different source ports for each of those conversations. So this is the beauty of the transport layer protocols. They help to keep track of multiple conversations, even if it is happening with one device. So they can use different port numbers to keep track of those things. And that is the way communication happens from the network access layer, which provides us with the destination and source, to the IP, to the internet layer, which produces us with the IP, then to the transport layer, which produces us with the source and destination ports to keep track of conversation. Then the last part, which is the application, and that one, once it have gotten to that place, we are already done with it. Are you all with me on this? If so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can somebody raise up their concerns? All right, thank you. So for the person that asked, there was somebody that asked a question. It was like, how do these things happen? So let's do a quick one. Let's do a quick one. So just assume you are the client. Let's see the client-server interaction. You are requesting something from a server. Remember, a server is what provides you with information and services, and the client is you who is requesting information from the server. So this is what the URL will look like. This is the uniform resource identifier will look like. I will mean, this is what it will look like. So the first part of this URL, which is HTTPS, any protocol can be here depending on what you are requesting for. But since you are requesting for a web page and if we want it to be secured, we will use HTTPS, which is the application word. which is the application what? Is the application layer protocol. So HTTPS is the application layer protocol. What is the port number for HTTPS? Is 445. So invariably, when application services are being requested for, they already have attached port numbers to keep track of those conversations. So due to HTTPS is a common application service, it has a port number of what? 445. So as you can see, the full length of trying to request information from a web will have attached the protocol. And when it has attached the protocol, that protocol will help us to identify the port number, which is what? 443. And that has already taken care of the what? Transport layer what? Protocol. Then another thing it will have is the host name. And the host name is www.example.com. And this host name, I already told you that this domain name, which is the host name, is an IP address. But what enables us to be viewing it as www.example.com is a DNS. So this host name is another part of something that tells us what? That tells us the particular internet addressing, that's the device that has this internet address you are trying to reach out to. And the name of that domain name that will still translate back to the IP address is www.example.com. That's not just enough. After this host name, another thing is the pathway to reach to the particular information we are trying to get. And as you can see, that is author/book.html. Let's assume we want to get this thing. This is the place we are looking to get the information we are trying to go. And that is called the path to find them. And then lastly is the fragment. That's the actual part that has the exact information we want out of the whole book.html. So oftentimes when you browse the web, this is a full uniform resource identifier that points you directly to what you are trying to seek for. So immediately you are browsing the web, know that the particular, not just the web, immediately you are trying to seek any form of application service, the protocol of that service will be attached to that particular thing. In this case, our own is HTTPS. And invariably, when we know the protocol, when we know the application protocol, we have already known the what? We have already known the transport layer protocol, that's the port numbers, which is here, 443. That is the application, that's the port number for what? The application service, HTTPS. Application protocol, HTTPS. Then followed by it is the host name, which we can also call the IP address, because this host name was like this because there is a application layer called DNS that is helping us to translate those IP addresses back to the domain name. So the pathway to reach the information that we are looking for is called the path to find name. And the exact information we are looking for is called the fragment. So which is at page 115. That's the exact place you are looking for information. So a simple application process, this is the breakdown of the whole thing that you see in your web browser. All those whole things that you see in your web browser, this is what they look like. At times, you might just have only 1 and 2. You might have just the protocol scheme and the host name, especially when you are browsing www.google.com. You will just see the protocol and the host name. But when you further try to search for information and click on that information, you will see all these things, all these things that are called the uniform resource identifier. The uniform resource identifier is the actual detailed URL. That's the actual detailed way or thing that enables us to have access to the kind of information that we are requesting for. Especially in this case, we are trying to utilize or show our reference with regards to the client through server interaction. So are you all with me on this? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can I get somebody raise up their hands and ask? All right, Rafiat, go on.
Please, can you explain what you mean by paths and file name, then fragments? I didn't get you very well there.
All right, I said we are just trying to model the application process. That's how the things that we request between communication between a web server and a client. Eh? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Permit me to share something else. Permit me to present something else. Okay. Entire screen. Let me show something else. All right. So all right. So when we type www.google.com, this is a domain name. This is a domain name. And this domain name have already answered our question on the host name because the host name is invariably the domain name. This should have been an IP address, but the DNS was working to ensure that this thing is like this for us to comprehend. So when we type www, we are trying to seek information from a host. We have already known the host name, which is part of one of the things I mentioned under the trying to do a server to client communication. But when we type this www.google.com, the first thing that will attach to this thing is a protocol. So which protocol is www.google.com using? Is a protocol of the what? Hypertext transfer word protocol. So how do we know that? When I click enter, it brings out Google page. So when you click here, are you seeing this? HTTPS. How did that HTTPS come? It has already attached, telling us that the application service we are seeking for is a hypertext transfer protocol. So we are trying to seek for a host, but that host is not telling us the application service we are seeking from him at this point is a what? HTTPS. So this thing has what? The protocol and the host name. So we can't see the what? Path name, and we can't see the fragment. But just imagine when we want to search for, what is it called? Okay. There is this special book I like, 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. All right. Okay, when I search this, and let's assume I click on, I don't know why this is not opening. Is there an issue with my network? So yes, the name of the host name is library kvmb wordpress.wordpress.com. The 5 paths through which we can look. Rafia, is that well understood?
No, I lost you. You stopped. You said the 5 parts, then you went. You just came back now. I don't
Oh,
know if
sorry.
I'm blaming, but I lost you.
All right, just keep on and tell me if anything goes wrong within the call. I'm saying
Okay.
that when we want to browse www.google.com, that is a particular host that we want to get.
Yes.
So when we type in that host, you have already seen that in the things that I listed in a web to server interaction is host name. So this is a host name. When we type www.google, but host name is not just enough. when we search this host name, it will tell us the protocol that this particular host is utilizing. That's the application service we are seeking for. And as we can see, it is HTTPS here.
Yes.
And this is the host name. Are you with me?
I'm
This
with you.
explains host name and protocol, which are the fragments of the resource we are looking for, because we are just looking for www.google.com. That's the host name we are looking for. But what if we are looking for something more? Like I'm trying to get a book called 5 a.m. Club. And then I clicked on this particular library. And then I want to check how we can locate this. So the particular application service I'm seeking for is what? HTTPS. You are seeing it highlighted, right?
Yes.
The name of the domain, that's the person providing me with the information, is what? Library kvmbrd.wordpress.com. That is the host
Yes.
name. The path through which I will locate for what I'm looking for. What am I looking for? 5 a.m. Club. Which path should I follow? Is this path. WP content uploads 2019 0 4. That is the path, the 5 path. What's the actual thing I'm looking for? Is this.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
So the fragment is exactly the thing you are looking for. That is what is called a fragment.
Okay.
So the pathway through which you get that particular thing is called a 5 path. The particular person, the person providing you with that information is called the host. And the protocol, that's the application service protocol, through which you can be able to get that information or view that information, is HTTPS or any other protocol. It can be FTP, it can be any other word protocol. So this is how the thing works. So it's not just enough for you to have an IP address. That means you have a host name. It's not just enough. You have to have the what? You have to have a what application service you are seeking for. And that application service invariably will tell us the what? We tell us the transport, that's the port number that is assigned to it. Like HTTPS has a port number of 30443. So even though the port number is not written out here, we already know, because transport and application layer work hand in hand. So invariably in a server to client communication, this is the thing that we call uniform resource identifier. That's the thing that helps us to get the full address, that helps us to get the information that we are looking forward to.
Is it different from URL, Uniform Resource Locator?
Yes, it's different from URL. URI comprises of URL and what is it called? There is one other one. It's comprised of 2 things. Are you getting one? URL. Yes. URL doesn't have anything to do with the protocol.
Okay.
If somebody should help me to, yes. URL is this. URI gives the full-blown address, and then URL just tells you the host name without the protocol that their host is particularly utilizing. I hope that is clear. That's just the difference. But URL is contained in URI. That's the only thing that a URL doesn't include, is the particular protocol. Are you with me on that?
Okay, I'm with you. Thank you very much.
All right. Is there any other person with any other concern? Is there anybody with any concern? Okay, so we should move on. All right. So this is a better. Okay. This is a better thing. All right. I thought I made a mistake there. Thank God that you asked that question, Rafiat. Are you seeing where URL stopped at? URL starts from the protocol and stops at the particular 5 parts you are looking at for. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual thing you want to get, which is a fragment. That's uniform resource location. So I swapped the thing. So URL just has to tell us the protocol, the host name, and the file path. That is URL. Why URI, which is the main one we talked about, tells us how everything to get to the exact thing we are looking at for. Then URN just tells us about that's the one that I mistook for URL, tells us about from the host to the file path. So does that clearly explain that to you?
Yes, it's explain it.
All right, I hope you guys are seeing my screen.
Thank you very much.
Where is that? Let me share something else. Present something. I think I need to present just this. Okay. All right, so let's go back. So we want to, this is a description of, what is it called? This is a description of it. But what is my emphasis here is knowing the difference between URL, URN, and URI. So URI is the one that gives us the full-blown pathway to get a particular resource we are getting from a server. Then URN is just interested in telling us the server providing it, that's the name, the host name, and the path. URL is just interested in the protocol, the host name, and the file path. So this is the kind of different, but URI is the main thing that we often utilize. So when you just want to just get a pathway towards something, we often say it's a URL. But when you want to get directly to a particular thing you are looking for, then the full address is often written out, which is the URI. So let's move forward. So can we now talk about the network application service? First, the person that asked that question. Okay, Hannah, go ahead. I thought I saw Hannah raise up her hand. All right. So for the person that was asking that question, so this is me trying to explain what each of these application services are. So application services simply means the things that are closest to us in order for us to obtain the kind of information that we want as a user. And there are common application services, HTTP, HTTPS, they are all used for web communication. Anything that you want to do on the web is HTTP and HTTPS. What's the difference? HTTP is not secured. HTTP was built without security in mind. HTTPS was built because they noticed that people were taking advantage of the internet. As I already told you earlier on before the lectures, I already said that the networks were built without security in mind. So it is HTTPS that came is an aftermath to provide security to web communication. So HTTP is PS, when we say it's a security protocol, even though it is functioning on the application layer, that is to tell you that there are security protocols that also function within these layers. So take cognizance that any kind of protocol can function within a layer to help the effort of that layer. So when HTTPS was brought, it didn't have any second. So if you send anything through HTTP, the one that doesn't have a padlock, when you browse the website, there's no padlock on it. If you tell you this site is not secure, that is invariably telling you that all the communication you are passing through can be read by any person. So that's the difference. DNS is the one that helps us to translate our domain name. That's the one that we're written in an alphabet that we understand to the IP addresses, which I told you that every device is on the network have an IP address. So the DNS is an application layer protocol that does the conversation. So Rafiat, go ahead.
When you mention HTTP and HTTPS, you are saying that information that passed through HTTP can easily be seen by anybody.
Yes.
But what about that that website itself? Is it easy for it to be hacked?
Which website?
Website that use HTTP.
Okay. Any website can be hacked, whether HTTPS or HTTP. It can be hacked. The only thing I'm just trying to tell you that your communication is not secured. Simply means when you are translating anything like a password, you are entering a password. Any person can view it, any person can see it. There is no security pertaining to it. Once you are entering your password or sending your password or trying to log it, If that website is using HTTP, it's not secure. That means the information you are passing across can be seen and can be what? Can be hijacked on the way. I get what I'm saying?
Okay. But does it make one the person browsing, does it make the person vulnerable?
Yes, now of course, because your information is open, the things they are tracking is open. Every information you are sending, so far as the communication that is happening between you and the particular application that you are using, which is utilizing HTTP, anything that you are sending to him can be corrupted or can be something can happen to it. And any information they are sending back to you also has an issue because they are not using a secured version of HTTP, which is HTTPS. So that is likely that you are affected by the decision of any person online that is utilizing the HTTP. Because once you log in, just imagine you're logging in. It's only you that know your password and username. But now you are not sure about it any longer because somebody is not securing your communication through. So it's more like what is it called? I'm using thing. Your vulnerability is making me vulnerable. So you have a vulnerability and it's making me vulnerable because we are communicating. I get what I'm saying.
Yes. But please, if I may ask, is HTTP and HTTPS, how do you migrate from HTTP to HTTPS? Is there any procedure you need to follow to do that?
All right, depending on if your service if your connection is an internet facing connection, something like you have a website.
Yes.
Of course, you know
Yes.
that when you have a website, you have to install what we call certificates. The certificate that gives you the ability to use these HTTPs. That's to certify that all your communications are secured or to ensure by a trust partner that all these things.
Yes.
So they kind of provide a protocol that encrypts those communications, which is a secured part of it that encrypts it. That's it. That's what you hear about. Have you heard about TLS SSS? TLS SSS is the secured version of protocol that kind of helps to work with when you talk about HTTPS. So it secures your communication. So when you install
Security and
when you install TLS CSS certificate, so that means that they have the kind of authorship to what you are utilizing a form of thing that brings security to your communication. So if it's a website, as I said, once you already pay for the certificate, once you already buy the SSL certificate and everything, your communications are secure automatically.
okay. Well, the reason why I asked was that I was browsing. I wanted to download my younger sister payment advice for our school, and I noticed they are using HTTP. I was like, why is your school using? You're like, that's what they've been using. That's why during student election like this, they will just ask their school, they will just ask their matric number and their password. Everybody will just be using. They will just vote. Even she that did not go to, she didn't go to vote. She just noticed that they voted for her. Someone that voted on her bill, like, why will a school, university would be using HTTP instead of HTTPS? So that's why I was asking this question to know the
Yeah.
procedure to get it. It's so difficult to get it.
No, it's not so difficult. They just have to install SSL TLS certificate. So what that thing does for them, it brings a kind of encryption. It's an encryption algorithm that will now be able to what translate all the communication, like transcribe them to something that even when it is on transit, an attacker cannot be able to what to decode it. So that's what that thing does. Encryption, security, bringing a lot of things into it. So the only thing they need to is just to buy that TLS SSL certificate for the website. That's just it. So once they are certified, everything is secured. There is nothing more with it. There are many providers of that thing. There are many providers, so you can get one.
Okay, thank
So
you very
that's for
much.
the school. All right. Meanwhile, an FTP file transfer protocol is majorly for transferring files and within the internet. Just know that when we talk about FTP, just know that FTP is not really secured. It's not secured. So it's on plain test. So when we use FTP, when we transfer files from one person to the another or try to download files or immediately. So I'm still with you. So what deals with file transfer online? That's kind of without kind of security. You want to transfer files. I don't know how many of you have been used FTP server before. How many if you have been able to host a website before? So, but that is the kind of transferring files from either a client to a server, and then it doesn't require any form of security. It goes easily, and there is nothing that is secured about it. So that is on FTP for majorly transferring files from either from the local device to the cloud or something. So most of those things, if it's using FTP, that is simply trying to tell you that this file is not secured. Sorry, the transmission is not secure, so anybody can be able to view the content of those files. So there's also another protocol that was built in mind to guide against that, and that's SFTP, Secured File Transfer Protocol. So then we have the SMTP IMAP. So anything I use the what is it called, acronym, do well to also get the full meaning, please. So FTP, I already said, is file transfer. SMTP is simple mail transfer protocol. Anytime that you want to send a mail, you want to send a mail across, the protocol that is in charge of that mail is to ensure that it gets delivered to the person is SMTP. That's simple mail transfer protocol. Then IMAP is a receptor. What enables you, the receiver, to get that mail is IMAP. So the ability for that user to get that email is IMAP, being able to download it. I want to draw a quick difference because at times you will see IMAP, you will see POP3, POP3. I think that's post office, what is it called? Post office protocol 3, version 3. So these are all email communication protocol. As I said, SMTP is utilized where we are transferring mail across. That's the protocol that enables us to send only. The protocol that enables us to receive is either IMAP or POP3. That's POP3. So what's the difference between IMAP and POP3? IMAP downloads your mail from your server into your system. Are you getting what I'm saying? So it downloads your mail from your server into your system. And then when you do a deletion, are you getting what I'm saying? It doesn't really delete it from the server. That means for instance, if you are checking your mail for mail that have been sent to you, somebody have sent you mail, and the protocol SMTP have utilized that mail, is the protocol that have made that mail to get to you. So when you want to receive, you can use IMAP and you can use POP3. What POP3 does is once it have delivered the mail, it deletes it from the server. It deletes it once the mail have been delivered to you. It deletes it from the mail server. So it is now on your device. And once you delete that mail from your device, you don't get it any longer. But IMAP still has a copy of that mail in the server, in the mail server, and sends a copy to you. Rufias, your hands is up. All right, you can speak. Rufiat, you can speak now. Hello, you can speak. Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, when you explain the difference between IMAP and post office POP. I didn't get you. I lost you. I don't know if it's the network. I didn't get the explanation you made.
All right, so look at it. The simplest way, let me use something that you know. If a post office person is trying to deliver a mail to you, you know that's the only copy that was written from the sender to the receiver. If the post office person gets to you and give you that letter, and if on the way you lost that letter, is there any other copy for you to get it again? That's the copy. That's why it's called post office protocol. So once that letter gets to you, The post office doesn't have a copy of it. They don't photocopy it and say, let's keep just in case. I get what I'm saying. That's
Yes.
what POP does. But IMAP keeps a copy in the server of the mail server and then sends a copy to you on your what device. So it will take a
Okay.
yeah, it will, yeah, that's what it does. So that means actually that it gives us a two-way or it gives us an assurance more than POP. So POP is whether I mistakenly delete this mail, I can't get it again. It is gone. Are you getting? Because once it has delivered, it's delivering to your device, it deletes it from the server. But IMAP keeps a copy and then sends a copy to you. So you can use the difference of trying to use how the post office people deliver letter to know how the two work. As I said, SMTP is for transfer of mails. IMAP or POP is for the receiving of what? Mail. Is that clear for all of us on this network application?
Can you give instance of when we use POP and when we use IMAP?
When we use POP and when we use IMAP.
Yes, the protocols.
Well, it's all because of these things. We are not the ones that what is it called? We are not the ones that what they say. We are not the ones that provide these services, and they are provided to us. I get what I'm saying.
Okay.
They are provided to
Okay.
us. So these services are
If
provided.
when I receive mail from my Gmail or my Outlook account, at least that will use IMAP, right? Because it will not delete.
No, it will not delete. It's IMAP that Google uses. Google Mail uses IMAP.
Mm.
Who else raised their hand? Praise.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yeah.
Sir, sorry, what is the difference between this SMTP and IMAP? And the full
Okay,
meaning of this SMTP, you explain then. I can't
okay,
hear you then.
I already told you guys should be getting to, but IMAP simply means Internet Message Access Protocol.
Okay.
Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
I'm with you, sir.
SMTP is used when for sending of mails. Sending mails. So when we send mails, the protocol that takes it off from there to help that communication or from the application layer that takes it off from us, immediately we press send is the SMTP,
Yes.
which is what? Simple mail transfer what? Protocol. So for the person that will be receiving the mail, the protocol that takes it up to ensure or that gets that mail to that person, I get
Yes.
what I'm saying, is
Yes,
what?
I'm getting
Is IMAP or POP3. That is
IMAP.
POP3. That's IMAP now.
Okay,
That's
for
Internet
today.
Message Access. So one is used for sending and one is used for receiving. So the protocol that is in charge of sending is SMTP. The protocol that is in charge of receiving is IMAP. So they are all both used for email communication.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So praise, is there any issue?
No, sir. What I wanted to ask you, have answered it. It's about the IMAP used by Google Mail, because when we delete mails, it goes to trash before we have to permanently delete.
Yeah, even at that, let me even tell you the sweet thing about it. So sometimes you think what is it called? But that's not what we want to talk about today, Sha. Sometimes we think that when we delete it, that it goes off the internet, but that's not really true. That's
Okay,
not
okay.
really, depending on the policy that is guiding the particular what company. So that's not really true when we did. That is why there is what we call open source intelligence, OSINT, OSINT, open source intelligence, and it's part of cybersecurity. More like how somebody can be able to dig into your past life. Hmm? Everything that
Mm-hmm.
you delete, everything that you deleted, you felt like, I don't want to use Facebook again. Those things that you did on Facebook, you deleted it. Even most of the people that are using, what's the popular OnlyFans? Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Most of them that use OnlyFans, that felt like once you do this thing, then somebody would be able to get those information, because those information have what we call, when you delete information, there is what we call hardware that run, everything that runs online has a hardware that makes it work or runs. So those hardwares contain facets of data or pieces of data. Eh?
Okay,
And
sir.
as often as they go online, there is a way that you use to do what we call erasable. When we are talking about, if we did basic computer, we are saying how to be able to erase data from a storage device. So you
Okay.
can't just throw away that device. No. Even when you delete, actually what you deleted was for it not to be viewable by people who are using the conventional method of seeing information. Eh?
Okay.
But
Yes.
properly, somebody that has the knowledge of how the net works, with the ability of this thing, I'm saying that most of you will get to do OSINT, open source intelligence, as time goes on. If you are going to continue on this pathway, you will know that really information that we felt like was deleted, what is actually done was restricted from the online, that's the surface net. It's called surface net, that's Google. So when
Oh,
you browse, you don't see them again. But
mm,
somebody with an intelligence, open source intelligence, can be even a post that you deleted on Facebook can be able to get it.
okay. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. So that's on that. Thank you. All right, can we move forward? The person that asked question on those application services, I hope I've explained all of them. I think that should be all under that diagram that we had. This TCP, Telnet. Okay. I think I did. Okay, I've explained file transfer, control. Okay, we are still getting to that. Let's uh let's go. Is there any other thing I didn't say? Okay, let me explain secure shell SSH. SSH is when we want to have a remote connection to our system from anywhere we are. You use what we call the SSH protocol. So whenever you want to have a remote connection to devices, you have SSH connection. So SSH makes it more secured. Telnet is also for remote connection. So, but Telnet is not secured. Anything you transcript through Telnet, there is no encryption towards Telnet. So which other protocol have I not explained? Domain name service, I've explained it. Dynamic host configuration, I've explained it. DSCP, I've explained it. TFT, CP, the same thing with file transfer. IMAP, I've explained it. POP3, I've explained it. SMPT. Okay, SMPT is a protocol that is used to manage network. When you'll be using some tools to manage your network, to know what goes on in it, the kind of protocol that ensures that kind of thing is done within various kind of things going on the network is the simple network management protocol. It helps us to see the activities of whatever that is going on our network. I think I said let me answer that question for most of the some of the protocols I missed out on. So somebody is raising up their hand, Stephanie.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask it. Talked about SSH secure shell,
Yeah,
and I would like to ask if said it's used for remote connection. But I
yes.
want to know if for RDP, like when you want RDP different system, like remote.
You are asking if it was
If the SSH is for RDP into computer, another system or device.
okay. You want to know whether it is using the secure.
Protocol for RDP, yes.
All right. Okay. For for RUDP is a proprietary thing. I get what I'm saying. That was developed, is a protocol that was developed by what is it called? By Google, by Microsoft. Are you with me? So it is as I said, protocol is anything that gives us the ability, rules, guideline that gives us the ability to communicate. So RUDP is a Microsoft thing. I get me. It doesn't use SSH, it doesn't use Telnet. It's their own protocol development in order to ensure remote connection from various devices that are using Microsoft product to be able to have remote access. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, I am.
So it's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't use SSL, it's a protocol on its own. RUDP is a protocol on its own. I get
Okay,
what I'm
so
saying.
yeah, so SSH and RDP.
They are all, they are also protocol. That's did you know when I was saying something on open source and closed source protocol of it? Open source tools and closed source. So their SSH and Telnet are the things that exist on the web, that's on the internet, on a general internet. So it enables most of the devices that run on the internet. But the RUDP is just a protocol that is specific to Microsoft. It's only Microsoft products that use it. Are you getting me?
Okay, yes, sir.
That doesn't mean they have also a way of securing their thing. You get me? They also use TLOS to secure their communication, but it's a protocol on its own, so it doesn't kind of have anything to do with what is it called? It doesn't have anything to do with SSH. I get one. So it's only Microsoft product that utilize it. Are you all with me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So is there any Rofiat?
Please, when you mean SSSH is for remote connection, does it mean connecting to your system from another system, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean. Remote connection meaning connecting from a device and then controlling that device from another or doing some kind of thing in another device without actually being physically located with that device. So you do it from wherever you are. So that's what remote connection means. So I can be able to help out Rofia to install application because she's a novice. I can help her to install the application. I just need to get some certain information, log in this thing, and then from there I can access it through SSH and do whatever I want to do. So that's what is called remote connection.
And that application will show on my own system, right?
That's the one that you are using, which is graphical. There is one that is not graphical. It does you just what I will be seeing on my end. What I'll be doing will be happening at the background. That is often for command line thing. So oftentimes is a command line, something. Why you are used to graphical is because of RUDP. Oftentimes these SSH and TNS communication are command lines things. So and when you use command line, you know the things that work with it. The person is not even knowing that you are doing something on their system.
Yes.
So that's it. Is there any other person on? All right, should we move on? Okay, we are moving on. Can I get a thumbs up, please? All right, thank you. So this is the definition of those ones that I have mentioned. I think when you see my slide, you can read them. Those things I was trying to explain, so everybody will get used to them. So these are the kind of description. So you can read it up once you get the slide. So can we do some network testing utilities? What to use how to test networks? They are called network testing tools. So when we want to display our IP configuration, that's our system IP configuration, we will use the IP config, which is a command. We will enter it at our command line, and it will provide us with the IP configuration. So when we want to get everything about the IP configuration, a bigger description or a bigger information display, we will use ipconfig /all. it will show us better. But IP config is a major configuration. If you want to view the IP your system is using. So another configuration is another command, another test work utility or desktop testing tool, which is invariably what we use in order to know what is happening on our network or get pre-hand information on what is currently ongoing on the network, is ping. Ping will tell you whether a device is having issues to connect or is reachable. So it shows us test the connectivity between one device and the other. So if you are trying to get through a device, maybe on your web, and that device is having issues, you can still use ping if you know the IP address. Even if you don't know the IP address, say ping the domain name, it will ping the device, and you see whether the device is actually able to connect. So when it's connecting via your ping and it's not connecting via your web browser, then you now know there is an issue. So when we use ping, we use it to test out our connectivity from one device to the other device that we are trying to get to. So another form of such tool is the the NetStat. NetStat will display all the current network connection that we have. So when we talked about TCP, UDP, we say they use ports to establish connections, to establish sessions. So every port that is open on your PC, your NetStat will show it. So NetStat, just imagine that a hacker is having their way into your system and they are trying to access one particular port and it opened up. Are you getting me? When you press next start, you're able to know that this port that is opened up, what is it actually connecting to? The services, application services, I know. None of this should be able to be opening up this port because I've known the ports that are likely to open up because of some certain applications I'm using. So this must be somebody trying to get into my word system. So when we use next start, we're able to know the connections that are open on our system, the sessions that are established on our system. That is the next start. Then trace start is when we want to trace the communication flow from one device to another. That means we want to know how communication transverse across various devices till it gets to the actual devices. We use the trace start. Ping and trace start is not the same. Trace start will show you the stages or the devices we have to go through to get to our main devices. So if you are browsing google.com, it will tell us how that message is leaving our IP address, going to our router IP address, going from our router IP address to so many other routers in between till it gets to the actual device. That is what trace starts. It traces the route, information trace. So if information have to have a problem somewhere, TraceSat can now be able to help us to know where that information is having an issue. Unlike ping. So when we use ping to test if we can connect to a particular network or a particular device, and we see that we cannot connect, then we'll now use TraceSat to know where at what point to which point is this connection having issues, so that we'll know where it is there. So if it's from our device that the connection is stopping, then we can now start troubleshooting our device. Then if it's along the way, we'll now know that maybe it is from the other end of the person we are trying to send information to. So that is on TraceSat. I've already tell us something on NAS lookup. If you want to query our domain name to get the IP addresses, so most of the time you want to utilize the IP addressing to know some other information, like in the use of ping, and we want to ping that particular IP address, maybe because the domain name is not converging to the IP address. So we can easily use NAS lookup to know the IP address, then use ping to ping that actual IP address. So sometimes these domain names are on redirections. So most times when we want to access them, it will keep on redirecting all that it loses track. So most times it's important for us to know the IP address that is associated with this domain name so as to ping that particular IP address. So that is what NAS lookup actually does for us. and we'll be practicing most of these things on the command line interface. Okay, Praise.
Okay, sir. I just wanted you to explain pinging more or the ping more.
Ping simply tells me whether we can connect or I can be receive something I'm trying to send you. So it's something that tells me, ping this device. More like what is it called? I came to your door. You normally use an alarm, and I press that alarm, and nobody responds. I press that alarm again, nobody responds. That is what ping is trying to do. Ping is trying to get a response from that particular device. So once it gets a response, you know that that device is open to what? Open to communication. If it doesn't get any response, that knows that that device is not open to communication. So the system by which to know if a device can be connected or we can connect to the device or we can send message to this device is the ability to use what? Ping. I don't know if that explains it better. All right, thank you. So can we get to practicing some of this? I know our time is what we should just exercise a little more time, please. I don't want to keep this topic hanging. All right, are you all good to go? Can we practice a little bit to show you what I mean, how to use this command? All right, thank you. So I'll be sharing my command line. That's my entire screen. I think present something else. I'm sharing my entire screen and we'll be utilizing that's 3 of them. I will show you what they are actually doing for you. So here is you will go to your command prompt. So does anybody know their IP address here? Does anyone know their IP address here? Let me ping them and know whether they are open to connectivity. Does anybody know their IP address? You will not know because it's a private one. So, or your public IP address. Does anyone know their public IP address?
I'm
Does
just
anyone
trying to
know?
open my system.
Is that?
I'm just trying to on my system. I was using a phone
You
before.
you can go to your browser and type my IP public IP address. It will open. It will show you your public IP. You can provide us so that we'll test the IP and see if you are open to connection or if we can connect to you. So, is anybody trying it out? Look at what I mean. Go to your web browser. Type my public IP address. All right, let's use this one. IP.me. Let me see. Look at my public IP address. I see mine. No, this will not even actually give you your exact one, but it's your, as I already told you guys about public address, what it looks like. So at times it's your router's IP address, public facing IP address, because your own device will be using a private IP address, which is not routable on the internet. So, but I want to know your public IP address. Is anyone with that? Have anyone gotten theirs? Go to ip.me. ip.me, you will see your public IP address. It's showing everything about Nigeria. Is that?
I said, can we use a phone to check?
Yeah, you can use a phone
Okay,
now.
I've gotten mine.
Can you drop it on the comment section? Let me use it. Okay, Bola have gotten hers.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so Bola, we will use yours to test what you want to test. So we are on the command line. This is it. I hope you can see it. So we'll ping Bola's IP address, public IP address. Let's see whether it will respond. Request timed out, request timed out,
How do we
request
get the
timed.
number?
Is that IP.me? So none of the thing. So at times, let me
IP
just
dot
explain. Let me IP.me. So IC.IP.me. So why do this thing didn't connect? Let me just tell you something. All right. So because many people people now notice that hackers use this to know if they can establish connectivity with a particular device that is open to connection. Are you getting me? So there is a firewall that can easily block somebody able to ping you. Ping me simply means for me to come and just tap and see whether you will respond. That's just what it is. So I know, this device is online. So I can now start doing what I want to do with it. I get what I'm saying. So this thing can be timed out because of so many reasons. Why? Because something is blocking it. A firewall is blocking a ping. But for a particular system that a firewall is not blocking, this will be showing us a response on the packet sent is 4. Received will be 4, but it's showing us sent is 4, lost is 4. That means it didn't get to Bola's IP address. Are you all with me on this? But can we do for Google IP address? I know one of them, their DNS server is 88888. So this is their public facing DNS. DNS is domain name server. So when we do it, ping 888. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that it replied? Are you all with me? Are you seeing that it replied? All right, so it's telling us reply from 888. It's telling us, we sent 4 packets to it, is actually replied. So that means this device is online and is open to what? Connection, and its connection has been established or can be established with what? It. So that's the impact of what? Clear. That's what we use it to test out on. So invariably, if you are using a domain name, and then you're having issues, try to check out the IP address, whether it's reachable by it. If it's not reachable, then you know is actually having an issue. So apart from pinging, praise, you can say something.
Okay, I want to ask, please, how did we get to the command prompt?
It's just to search for command prompt in your system, no?
Okay,
And you will
okay.
click on it, you open it. All right, so can we move on? Which other command? Rufia,
Please, Mr. Ranko, how did you ping the Google? You said 888. I'm not seeing your screen.
ping 8888.
How many 8s?
IP address is just 4, and I thought we have taught it that 4, what is it called? 4 octets. So 8.8.8.8. So,
Okay.
all right. So when we want to know that kind of information, whether a device is existing on the network, is communicating, is open to communication, all those kind of things, we use that ping. So another thing, what if you want to know your own device? Like we want to know your IP configuration. As many of us are using DSCP, we don't even know the IP configuration our DSCP gave us. So we want to know, how do you do it? You say IP config. I've taught on those commands in my slide. Rafiat, what's the problem? Your hand is still raised up.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So when you type IP config, so you can see it gives us information about our IP configuration for each internet connection that we have. So this is for each internet connection. So let's start from the top. This is our Ethernet. There is nothing. We are not connected by wire. I'm not connected by wire. So it's not showing me anything because I'm not connected by wire. So this is Ethernet 3. This is the IP address 192.168. Ethernet adapter 56.1. This is wireless disconnected. Wireless disconnected. This is the one I'm currently using. This is the internet I'm currently using. Wireless LAN adapter. So I'm using my Wi-Fi. So you can see my IPv4 address is there. My subnet mask is there, and my default gateway. So the default gateway of my router is this. So I can ping the default gateway of my router. If I want to know, maybe I'm trying to get to the internet, but I'm having issues. So what I want to do is to ping my default router and know whether if it's still even getting, if I'm connected to it to start with. So to know if it's even responding to to even know where my problem is coming from. 215. So it might be your default router is having issues. Sorry, your router is having issues. So let me bring my own. You can see my own replied. I'm on. My connection is working. I'm good to go. So that is it. So when you're having issues with some devices, go to your command prompt, ping them to know what is wrong. So if they're giving you timeout, you know that invariably either the firewall is blocking their connection or something of that nature. So that is on the IP config. As I said, you can do IP config and all, put /all to it when you want to see everything. But if you don't want to see everything, just put IP. So if you give us more information, look at, it's giving us more information. It's now giving us our what? MAC address. Before, when I pinged that thing, did it give me my MAC address? Now it's giving me my MAC address. It's even giving me my IPv6 address. That is to say my device is also using what we call dual IP addressing. It's giving me my IPv6 local address, giving me my MAC address. So that's a good one, right? Normally, this kind of information should have been hidden, you know. But look at how I'm exposing it, and this thing is going on the internet. It's okay.
That's
CLOS.
what I wanted. That's what I wanted to tell you.
So that being said, what else are we yet to do? What are we yet to do? We have done IP config ping. There are files. How many commands we say we'll do? 5 of them. We have next start. There's no open connections that are available on my system. Just know that these commands can be combined with some other things, like the way I said IP config /all. But just for the sake of the simplicity of what you are trying to establish, to show you, so we'll just utilize this thing that are the basic for you to know as of the moment we are in. So next start will tell me the connection that I established on my system. Are you seeing them? So you are seeing the port numbers. You are seeing that thing I taught you. TCP, IP address is here. Then colon, look at the port number my systems are utilizing. Are you seeing it within that range that I taught you all today? Are you seeing the range of port numbers you are seeing is within that range? My system is utilizing the source port number of 62781, 62. So it's within that range. So this is what I was telling you, that port numbers are generated by system in order to keep. So you can see the state of my connections. This one is established. This one is closed waiting. This one is established. This is time wait. Oh, it's just invariably telling you what is happening. And this thing will keep on going. Everything that is connecting on my system or getting information, and you see all the range of port numbers are within that range. I taught you about private port numbers. So it will keep on going like this till I disrupt it. So I've disrupted it. All right. So let me clear my screen. So apart from next start, seeing the connections on your system, what else did we say is trace that. So let's trace the route it takes to get to Google web server or any person at all. So you see, it has started telling us that maximum of 10 up. So we are trying to get to Google server. So it have left my default gateway. If you remember, my default gateway is 192.168.215.17. So it is telling me that this information I'm trying to take to what? Take to Google DNS server, which is 8.8.8, will first of all pass through my default router, and from my default router, it's getting to another system I don't know, 10.11.0.254, which I know this is a public facing addresses, and it will keep on going like this. So wherever the issue is, it will stop there. It will repeat the IP address, telling us that issue is where it is. But I know that for this one, since Google this thing by ping, we have already known that it is accessible. When we use traceSAT, it will still be accessible. It will follow this path and keep on showing us the jumping and jumping till it gets to the actual device. That is for the traceSAT command. All right, so I will stop this because it will keep on going to it. Okay, so it might even take up to 30 hops before it reaches the destination. So which other command? There is 3 of them. Okay, NAS lookup, we have done it. NAS lookup is for So let's check any lookup of dns.google. I think that is Google. So no, it's not it. Okay, it has shown us 888.888. So it have given us the IP address. So when we want to get the IP address of domain names, we can easily utilize that. So that's all for the little things I wanted to show you on how these things work. So Stephanie, you raise up your hand.
Yes, sir. The last command
Who
prompt.
is crying? Who is crying, please? The last command did
Yeah, the last command, NS lookup. How do you identify which IP address it is? Because already you know that for Google it is 8.888. Because at some point you're like, no, this is not it. So how then do we know? Okay, yes, this is the IP for this particular domain.
He showed me now. It is 888 now. You not
It
seen
showed
it.
also showed other IP addresses too. There's
That
also
is to
8.
tell you, that is to tell you that this one's here, this is the IPv6 address for locating Google DNS server. This is also another IP address, but maybe this one is serving in as an. There are many things I like, not to get complex now at the point we are. There are many things that the information as you upgrade, they will now start telling you the truth about the whole matter, even though the truth on the foundational level that every device have to have an IP address. Every device must have. So sometimes the domain name dns.google.com will be pointing to two devices. Are you getting what I'm saying? It will be redirecting to two IP address. That is to say that Google went and dropped their resource in one device, and that device will be using, as you can see here, that device is using 8.8.4.4. Are you getting me? And then went and dropped another resource in their 8.8.8. So when you are searching for the domain name, it can pick information from any of the IP address. That is to tell you that a particular domain name can be linked or redirect to two different IP address. Is that clear now, Stephanie?
Yes, sir, it is. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. So can we move on? Are we all tired? What is still even remaining? We have done it now. Testing TCP, verifying active connections. We have done these things. That's what we just tried to do now. We just did that. I think let me share my screen back since you got. So are you all with me on this? If you are, so can I get a thumbs up? All right, thank you. So I don't know. So I have showed you the main things. So as you can see, this is TCP, the one we just did using NetStart. It helps us to verify active connections. And then when I've already said all these things, when there are possible security threats, we can know that this thing was open and we don't have anything to do with this port that is particularly open. Just imagine that you are not using port 80, you are not giving any web service, and all of a sudden when you checked your TCP, you started seeing port 80. Won't you be scared that somebody opened up port 80 that should be closed? You are not providing anything. And when port 80 is open, that means somebody is having access to something in your system. Or the port for your file, this thing open. That is port 23, open in your system. You will start suspecting that somebody is opening this port, is seeking information to gather information. So when you do TCP connections,
For 20.
okay, port 20 and 21. So when you see those ports that are not supposed to be open and they are opened in your system, and I've already told you, if you are the one seeking for information, the port numbers that should be open should be within that range I gave you under what is it called, private port numbers. So when you see the ones that are well known and somebody is connected, that means there's something they are trying to get. Or SSH will open on your system. SSH port you open on your system. You know somebody is having remote access to your system. This is a common thing that this knowledge is supposed to start giving you, that these TCP connections when you do TCP testing, it will show you will not critically ascertain. You already know the ports that shouldn't be opened on your system. Common ports shouldn't be opening on your system. If you are not a web server, common ports shouldn't be opening on your system. Even registered ports shouldn't even be, because you are not on a. So the most ports that are supposed to be open, because you're always seeking information, are private ports. So when you start seeing those kind of ports, you know there is an issue. That's from the security standpoint of it. So DNS, this is the distance. We have already done the kind of. So where you can use the domain name instead of the IP address when you are trying to search for the IP address. You can use the IP address. You can also use the IP address to get the domain name, maybe if you don't know. So the DNS is more of resolving domain names to IP address, and I've already showed you how to do that. I've already also shown you how to do your configuration. I think there's one thing I didn't show you, but that is I can easily explain it. So if you are tired of the IP address that is given to you, you can return it and get a new IP address. So IP config release, you release the IP address that you are having, and IP config renew, you get a new IP address from your DSCP server. Please, if I do this thing now on my system, I will go out from this internet. But that's what I wanted to explain. So because when you release it, you are off until you renew it to get a new IP address for connectivity to what happened. So if you are, maybe you want to, maybe for some reasons, you want to renew your IP address, you can do so. Maybe you notice that you are being tracked or something of that nature. You can use this to release and renew your particular IP address. Or invariably, if your IP address in particular have been blocked, you can release it and renew it. So that's on the IP config. I've done all this, and that's why I'm just going through them. So as you can see, the ping testing for connectivity. So when you do, what we do is the thing I say, I shout, and I want somebody to reply to my shouting. That is what testing network connectivity with ping has to do with. You come, you press an alarm, and you are hoping to receive a response. That is on that. So about that, that's something that has to do with UDP, TCP are important protocol because they help us to keep track of our connectivity. And then application protocol, we have to utilize these kind of port numbers, and they are often attached to them. Every application service have a particular port number they are known with, except for those ones that have to do with us, who are the private users of these port numbers. But most common application services, we have a specified port numbers and also the protocols that work alongside with them. So you see oftentimes transport layer and application layer protocol are what intertwined because they work hand in hand. Every protocol service intertwined because you also need an IP address plus the TCP for information to get to the person. So you not, and even MAC address. So in the network access layer, you need MAC address. In the internet layer, you need IP address. In the TCP, you need port numbers. And then in the application, you still need various. So all these things work together to make communication a better one. So this is our conclusion so far on the TCP IP protocol, TCP IP model, and the layers and protocols that work alongside them. So
Mr.
that
Michael, so in transport, you said we need what in transport? TCP, IP, abi? TCP and UDP.
I said TCP, these are the protocols. Then, of course, they utilize port numbers. That is what makes them able to keep track of communication. So we need the TCP and UDP, which invariably uses port numbers. So they use port number. That's a mechanism through which they work. They have to use port number to keep track of communication. So when we come to the internet, that's the primary one we talk about is the IP. When we come to the internet layer, the primary thing we talk about is the MAC address. But though there are other protocols, I didn't say there are, but those are the primary.
Internet is the IP address, a MAC address or IP?
Internet is IP now, IP address. Ethernet, like the network access layer. There is what we call Ethernet, what is it called? Ethernet technology or Ethernet protocol. The one that has ETERNE. So if you are talking about that one belongs to the network access layer. So that is a protocol that works in the network access layer. So that is that one. So far, so good. If there is any confusion, anything, this is trying to tell you everything about how communication happen on in the network or on the internet. If there's anything, please, I'm willing to answer your question. I know that we have taken 30 more minutes, or even though we know that we released 10 minutes for people to join. Doreen, why are you crying? Doreen, why are you crying?
I think it's now late to be
Is
said.
that?
Even so, it's late to be said.
Is that?
And I even stop to understand.
Is that?
Like it's late. Like it's late to be said. Even my neighbors could.
There are things that you
So,
didn't understand.
no, because it's late.
Okay, it's late. Oh, sorry. That's true. That's why I ended the class. But this is important for us to do it because when we try to do it another day, it will be but I will not exceed this time again, please. This is just for the concluding of this topic so that it will not be hanged. I will not exceed this time again. So sorry for that. So I'm done with the classes, and I hope you all don't have concern and is okay with what we have done so far. So see you on Saturday when we'll be doing some other thing that will help us to strengthen what you have already done. Thank you for being part of me on this journey, for your question, for your understanding, for your insight, and then for your cooperation. It's worth more than everything to me. Thank you, and God bless you. Blessing said I'm too fast. It's not that I'm even seeing it. Was I really fast? It's okay.
You were over fast.
I was fast.
You were very, very fast.
You people didn't even tell me stuff. So maybe if it's convenient for us, or we can review in the next class, and then before we continue, we don't have much on there, so we'll review before we continue on the next class. So what will be on the next class? If there is any issue that you have on the next class pertaining to what we did today, I'm able to talk on it. I will review everything on the next class. So if you have any concern, write them out, keep it before we start. It will take like 30 minutes or 45 to trash out what we did today so that it's better seated in us before we continue. So just do me the favor of going through this, getting down your issues, and when we come to the next class, remind me if I forget, we will deal with it before entering the next topic. All right. Thank you for that feedback. See you all on Saturday.
Thank you, Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael, please reply my message on Telegram. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I will.